that we are all impermanent. We are all changing from second to second. None of us will remain the same. None of us can keep what we now have. As humans, we live a very short lifetime. It feels very long when we are unhappy. But when we are happy, it feels very short. Albert Einstein, who was trying to explain the theory of relativity, defined it in words that most of us can understand. Relativity is when you put your hand on a hot stove for 5 minutes. It feels like eternity. But if you are a man, relativity is sitting next to a pretty woman for 5 minutes and feeling that it is an instant. Everything is relative. We keep nothing with us. It is all changing. We can keep something now. Somebody can be with us in this moment, but they may not always be with us. Again, we are attached to people. We want them to remain with us. When they die, we continue to miss them. We continue to think of them. We feel the very strong affinity with them. We cannot keep people with us. When we are born in our next lifetime, we will feel equally strongly about other people. And we will be born into our next lifetime within reincarnation if we do not realize how deep, how harmful our attachments are. Our attachments to people are another reason why we come back to this world. When we are dying, we can do many different things with our thoughts. What most people do, what most people think of as they are dying, is what has happened in their lifetime and what will happen in the future. On the subject of greed, greed often comes up in our dying moments. We have been speaking to a group of practitioners in Singapore, and every other week would go back to speak to this small group. The first time we went, we learned of a woman who was very ill. She would be in the hospital, then she would be dismissed from the hospital and return to her home. Most of the people within this group were friends and knew this woman. They were trying to get her to practice, to chant the Buddha's name, to take the 3 refuges of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Whenever the friends got together with this one friend in the hospital, they would talk about possessions. They all liked buying jewelry. The woman in the hospital, who was very sick, would borrow money from people. They would all be shopping, and she would say, "I forgot my money. Can I borrow some from you so I can buy this?" And then she had the habit of never repaying the money. The friends were all equally upset about this. They were attached to the money. They had greed. for possessions, for money. One time, the last time, the woman was in the hospital. One of the friends happened to be with her. And she was lying there in what they thought was one of her normal visits to the hospital. And as she was lying there, she was thinking of one of the times she had actually loaned money to somebody else. And she had loaned that person some of her jewelry. And as she was bitterly complaining that this person had failed to return the jewelry, at that moment, she died. The friend who was with her said within 30 minutes, the woman who had died had turned a very dark gray. If we are very angry as we are dying, that anger will lead us down into the hell realms. The appearance of this woman right after she died was very bad. It would seem to indicate that she had been born into the hell realms. Her face looked very angry, very upset. It was contorted with her anger. And that is how she died. She died this way because of greed. She was not thinking of the kindness of the friend who had come to visit her, of the kindness of all the friends who kept coming to visit her, who kept wanting her to chant the Buddha's name, wanted to help her, wanted her to take refuge in the Triple Jewels, wanted to help her find a better life. She wasn't thinking of any of that. She wasn't thinking of the nurses and doctors who were trying to help her. She was thinking of her jewelry. She was thinking of anger. And more than likely, she was born into the hell realms. But her greed also could have led her to the hungry ghost realm. The hungry ghost realm is a realm where beings have insatiable desires. They are constantly hungry, constantly thirsty. Their stomachs are immense, but their throats are so tiny. No food, no water, no liquid can pass through. They are unable to quench their desires. Beings there are led there because of their greed. Greed ties us to reincarnation. Greed leads to so many wrongdoings. Because of greed, we become angry because others take something that we want, or others have something and we want it. We become angry because we think this cup is real. This cup can be mine. And when someone takes it, even when we give it to someone,